Il a aussi... J'ai un ami qui m'a raconté une fois, il me disait par exemple pourquoi on appelle la fantasia. Fantasia, c'est-à-dire les guerriers en fait qui font du spectacle. Il m'a dit que c'est à l'époque justement de l'IoT. Parce que pour enlever tous les armes aux tribus, c'était trop difficile. C'était un peu dans leur tradition d'avoir un cheval et d'avoir un fusil. Lui, il a basculé ça dans une forme de spectacle. Faites de ça une fantaisie. Et c'est devenu vraiment une folklorisation de quelque chose qui était une forme de guerre.
But what was it? To give the weapons to the tribes?
No, they already had. To take from the tribes.
The weapons from the tribes. But how they? I didn't get it.
Tu peux traduire, Carlos?
Non, il n'arrive pas à comprendre parce que tu as expliqué qu'il s'agissait de comment on peut enlever les armes aux tribus. Mais après, il l'utilise pour les fantasias.
C'est-à-dire qu'il ne l'utilise plus pour la guerre.
Oui, mais on les prend les armes et on dit voilà, et on voulait ça et on vous organise des conneries.
Ils font de ça une sorte de spectacle qui n'est plus quelque chose qui peut être dressé envers le...
It's like we take your arms, but then you can use some of them just for the spectacle. And it's like, I mean, also maybe a way of keeping the proudness.
Et contrôler aussi, contrôler tout ça.
You know that this fantasia thing here in Morocco? Is this kind of folklore? No folklore, no.
Yeah. Now it's folklore.
Now it's folklore. But they had a function before.
When you have like a reenactment of some kind of like a battle with kind of like horses and all the kind of like dress up with weapons and stuff. Okay. And this was created actually for this guy, for Lyote, in order to control the tribes. So he took the weapons from the tribes, but in order for the tribes to feel that they haven't lost power or that they to continue with their pride of tribe, he allowed them to use them as this kind of like fantasia thing, no? Kind of like to take away the power of violence and transform it into entertainment.
Okay.
And so you said the idea of Morocco doesn't exist.
The idea of Morocco.
Or what we started the conversation with, like this guy said, it's this image of what is Morocco, exotic image, that is being cultivated away from the identity of what Morocco could be or is becoming, away from this facilitating images, basically.
Pardon. Je crois que
I think also because you have to understand that the protectorate control the center of the country, and the south it was controlled completely by the tribes, with their own laws, with their own police, with their own territories. So how to get to give these tribes the conscience that they belong to a country? And it was the French, when they arrived in the 30s, that said to them, we need to do something, because if not, we are going to control this. But they were very intelligent, because instead of fighting against everybody, he looked one of the tribe who was maybe they could trust more or they could be more useful, who was Al-Glawi. So they gave weapons, and then he was the one who passed. Well, I don't know if he that put in peace everything, but he killed a lot of people. So there was just one person to whom you have to negotiate instead of all the tribes.
Everybody does that.
Mais ça c'est important parce que le protectorat il a compris vraiment ce côté tribal. C'est pour ça qu'il est resté sur la configuration d'avoir un caïd pour chaque région qui est lié avec un pouvoir central. Il y a un autre élément à citer, c'est que le Maroc officiellement était sous protectorat à partir de 1912, mais pas tout le Maroc. Parce qu'il y a des régions de l'Atlas, dans l'Atlas, il y a des régions dans le sud où les Français ne sont arrivés qu'en 1936. C'est-à-dire que le process a tardé parce qu'il y avait une sorte de résistance tribale et organisée et tout.
Yeah, but you couldn't control the territory overall without knowing the territory.
Non, mais il était surtout sur la construction parce qu'il y a des villes qui sont nées sous le protectorat comme Casablanca par exemple. Une ville qui n'existait pas avant. C'est construit à la période du protectorat. Et c'est construit même intelligemment, parce qu'il n'y a pas de Médina dans la Casablanca. Il y a une fausse Médina, le Hubous. C'est une fausse Médina. C'est une Médina qui est créée par le protectorat à l'image de Fès pour attirer toutes les familles bourgeoises de Fès.
Yeah, they moved to Casa, no?
Ouais. C'est une fausse Médina. Et c'est aussi dans l'architecture, tu as Écochard, par exemple, parmi les grands architectes, il y a un autre, je ne me souviens plus de son nom, qui ont beaucoup créé des plans, comment appelle-t-on les grands plans en fait, urbanistiques, des schémas urbanistiques de grandes villes. Les schémas de Casa, de Marrakech, de plein d'autres villes, Fès, Meknès, tout. Et c'est eux en fait qui ont créé aussi cette lisière entre la Médina et la ville nouvelle. Même dans l'aspect architectural, quand tu vois par exemple, c'était une intelligence avec une sorte de laboratoire aussi. À Casablanca, il y a un grand laboratoire de l'art déco,
comme à Tétouan.
Mais si tu vas par exemple rien que sur l'avenue principale à Rabat, tu vas trouver qu'il y a une sorte de mariage, en quelque sorte, entre une architecture marocaine et une architecture étrangère. Il y a l'utilisation d'éléments qui relèvent de l'architecture marocaine avec un autre regard, une autre approche.
It's talking about how architecture or urban planning was also implemented from the protectorate, no? And Casablanca was a city created from zero, and they create like a fake Medina in Casablanca, and then the rest.
The French, you mean?
The French, yeah. In order for the rich families from Fès, no, the bourgeoisie from Fès to go to Casa.
This was in the 60s, 70s, I think, no?
Oh yeah, that late.
Before there was an economical crisis.
Pour créer le Hubous, la Médina là, de Casablanca, l'ancien Médina. En fait, le quartier Hubous, c'est avant.
When? 40s?
C'est le début du protectorat.
In the 30s? 20s?
Les années 20, 30, un truc comme ça.
30s, 40s.
And that they also build these like Villeneuve, right? In each city of Morocco, or in most of them. So they kept the Medina as it was, but then they created new cities, kind of like a little bit outside, and the image of the French cities, no, basically.
L'image française, par exemple, à Marrakech, tu vas la retrouver dans l'avenue principale qui traverse Guélise. Quand tu es en haut, au milieu, tu as la Koutoubia.
Ah, yeah.
Ouais, tu la vois. C'est un style qui est très proche en fait du style français, qui est bâti sur des grandes avenues, en alliant plusieurs monuments ou quelque chose. Ouais.
Managed to find the main road of the new city of Gelis that is looking at the Koutoubia, which is the mosque, the big mosque, following a little bit what they did in Paris, or what they do kind of like in other cities of kind of like big monuments and big avenues. But it's interesting because in Cairo it's quite similar as well, no?
Yeah, Cairo is older. Cairo is like beginning of 19th century.
Fatimid. Fatimid.
No, I mean like the modern Cairo.
Modern Cairo.
By the Khedive, it was the beginning of 19th century. Actually, he built it for the Suez Canal to celebrate. Because he wanted to...
Who built it?
Khedive Ismail. Egyptian Khedive. Because he moved the palace from the citadel on the mountain Muqattam, where it used to be, and then he moved from the old Islamic Cairo, like he built like a new city, like between the Islamic Cairo or the old city and the River Nile, which is like downtown now, because this used to be like away from the city.
Il y a un style haussmannien au Caire. Style français haussmannien dans le...
Everywhere, no? In Algiers, in Tunis, in Cairo.
Talat Harb. Osmanian style. C'est un...
Ottoman like...
Ottoman.
Yeah.
No,
not Ottoman.
Haussmann, in the 19th century.
It's the French architect that built the whole...
Everything is related to a kind of competition between the European countries with the
But basically
empire.
downtown Egypt was like, Cairo was like, not by French, but by Belgium. Italian. And
But there was, as Carlos said, no, this competition that at the end of the day was quite similar, I guess. Or what?
There are not a lot of architects, and
Check out the smoke, sorry, look at that.
Lovely.
It's cool.
they knew what they did each other. I can tell you that in the 30s in Ceuta there was a competition between the best urban planners of Spain, because also they wanted to give another image. The three best competitions were in Barcelona, Madrid and Ceuta. Ceuta finally they didn't do that. Why? Because they wanted to spend the money in Tetuan. So Tetuan wanted also, Tangier was a little bit different because of the status of international city. But Tetuan wanted to be also the reference of what the Spanish Empire could do as something how you give or provide contemporary to the protectorate. And it was the same thing that you mentioned in Casablanca, like a competition of styles, of techniques. But however, there is a difference. I think that the vision that the French architects had, it was completely different if you take into consideration what they did with the Medina, because for them it was a place of that caused a lot of problems
For the French.
And that's why in some cities, if they decided to, like in Rabat, if he needed to trace a new road in the middle, they were going to do. Why? Because that was also what Haussmann did in the 90s. He didn't care about the concept of heritage architectural heritage, about the walls. That was also a problem. On the other side, the Spanish architect did the new extensions of the city, the Sanchez Tetuan, having a public space between the Medina and the new neighborhood, the new districts, which led to keep a little bit safe. So that's why in most of the Spanish city, Moroccan cities belonging to the Spanish protectorate, the Medina, today it's like it has been always, because they didn't touch the Medina.
But the Medinas in Marrakech and in Fez are always quite intact, no?
No, they changed a lot inside.
Mais on oublie souvent que l'architecture est un instrument de pouvoir.
Bien évidemment.
Un instrument de pouvoir, du coup, quand tu arrives dans une architecture qui est déjà fonctionnelle, comme la Médina par exemple, est complète en quelque sorte par les souks qui portaient les noms de chaque métier. En fait, l'agencement d'espace était convenable, mais qui mettait en crise et en questionnement tout ton outil de modernité, c'est-à-dire la voiture. La Médina pose problématique pour la voiture, par exemple, pour la circulation d'une voiture. Il pose la problématique de plein de choses en fait que la modernité ramène. Du coup, la solution, c'était de créer quelque chose d'autre.
But this happened in Europe as well, no?
Pardon?
This happened also in Europe. In Barcelona, it's the same thing, and in Barcelona you have the medieval city that they just kind of like kept, and then they created the new expansion of l'Eixample in the 1850s from the 1920s, which was this kind of like rectilinear cubes that are kind of like really big streets for the cars to go through.
But apples.
But
apples.
There is one big difference. In Barcelona, you have one kind of population. In all these Moroccan cities, you have two: the Moroccan one and the foreign one, because all this new architecture wasn't for Moroccan people. Most of them were for people from Spain, from France, from Italian, like in Tangier.
So don't you think it's a little bit of a matter of class as well? Because like the new architecture that they did in Barcelona was for the bourgeoisie, not for the working class.
Yeah, but because also in
Barcelona you had also lots of immigration from lots of places.
But there was also a kind of experimentation from the Spanish and French architect about what they could do a district or houses for native. They called native people. And sometimes it worked very good, and sometimes it was a disaster. But again, because they could control the territory, because there were a lot of foreign population living there. But what happened in the south? Nobody came to work or to live from Europe, and where the presence of the previous government or previous sultan, it wasn't strong enough. So because you couldn't deal just with one person, but with many tribes.
La présence en fait administrative était dans les villes. Imagine que une grande région, par exemple la région de Gulmim, la région de Tata et tout ça, était sous l'administration, une administration qui était Agadir. Jusqu'aux années 70.
The time to go from Agadir to Gulmim.
Ouais.
It was very, very far from there.
Et je sais que par exemple à Tiznit, il y a une place qui s'appelle la place du Koufa. Mais son origine, c'est la place du convoi. C'était une place en fait de présence militaire française qui contrôlait de Tiznit jusqu'à Bachar en Algérie. C'était les convois militaires, tout le départ c'était de là-bas. J'avais vu une page sur Facebook une fois, j'ai beaucoup regardé un peu de l'architecture du côté de Smara, Laayoune surtout. L'architecture espagnole en fait, militaire espagnole. Cube, qui ressemblait bien sûr un peu au dôme en fait, avec un dôme. C'est assez marrant.
And this organization, Casa Mémoire, they are doing a good job.
They were doing.
They don't exist anymore.
Si, les existent.
Yeah, but there has been a
Scission, like division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people who abandoned the Casa Mémoire, they did Racines, I think.
Racines, yeah.
And I think a part of the Casa Mémoire is now in justice because some money that disappeared. But they did a great job because they avoid the destruction of the core heritage in Casablanca. But also I think they came very, very powerful.
Ça c'est un problème aussi. On a l'obsession de garder quelque chose qui on s'identifie dans quelque chose qui est arrivé avec les Français. On oublie tout l'héritage architectural qu'on avait aussi. Parce qu'il n'y a pas de loi de protection des Casbahs, des trucs comme ça. Quoi.
Yeah, but there is another...
But in Marrakech they are doing it now, no?
Mais à Marrakech, mais pas des Casbahs par exemple dans le sud. Les monuments dans le sud, ils s'en foutent quoi.
During the Humayun Festival, I participated in the round table about imitation. How they said imitation in Arabic?
Imitation.
It's also
Muhakat.
No, it was.
Il y a des choses ici, des boutons.
Oh yes.
Putain, ici là.
Yes.
Joder.
You have too big.
I give you
little
the
horns.
cream.
Non, insectes.
Yeah.
Putain.
But there is still this thing of resistance in the old Medinas. However, they have been altered through times by the different people in charge. But what I just heard from El Ghali about Fez is that they're now going to build a shopping center inside the Medina at Recife. In the south, I was like, what? It's unbelievable. This is going to change or open the doors to change so many things in these type of organic structure. You know, the planning of such a Medina.
Je me souviens, il y a quelques années, j'avais signé une pétition contre l'ouverture d'un McDonald's à Place Jamal Fna.
But in this during this roundtable, Humayun Festival, about imitation, about if it is right or not, and specifically talking about architecture. For me, there is a big problem. People don't understand architecture. People don't understand the Medina. People think or see the Medina as a complex built at a once, instead of an evolution of the city. And the problem is that even the architects, they take just the image that you can see now. I talked a little bit about the discussion I had with Yunus Rahman when he told me to make the plan for the house he just bought in the Medina of Tetuan. And we were talking about the different kind of houses you could find there, and how the oldest, there was a small courtyard with 4 columns and a wood beam, and how some years later you could have some arcs, and then some years later, instead of, you could use iron beam. The iron beam let you to have more distance between the wall or more distance between the columns, which means it's bigger patio. And even if you saw just a wall as a facade, inside the changes were very, very, very big. So these changes, because of the economical and technological changes that led the people build in different way, without forgetting that many of these houses, at the beginning they had only one floor, and then when the family become bigger, you add another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then when you don't have enough space and you are not very sure that the construction are going to be vertical, so you build some arc or some or you build a sabbat because you need more space. I mean, it's something that at the beginning it wasn't like that.
Yeah, that's
even
with Fes
even
also.
even in Tetuan, the problem, what is happening now? They are building a new city between Tetuan and Tanger called Sharafat. A new city for, I think it was 100,000 people from nothing. So they asked a group of architects to study the different cities in the north of Morocco in order to have what they call an architectural card, which means how to impose to the new buildings some elements from the imaginary or from the typical architecture of the north. What happened? They visited Tetuan and they saw the Spanish neighborhood in Sánchez white. So they arrived to the conclusion that the predominant color was white, so the new city must be white. However, it is white because when the Tetuan Baladia didn't have enough money to restore all the facade of the buildings, it was much easier to paint in white all the buildings. But now you can see that when they built those buildings, they were not white. There were so many colors. So what I mean is that you are generating a new image of a city based in a idea that someone created some years ago. And again, to finish, and again, these buildings, even the architects, they look at the facade or at the decoration you can find outside. But in most of them, the best and the most important innovation was inside. And not just the decoration inside, but the technology that led build that kind of building with concrete as nobody has already built with that material, with iron, with bricks. So it was an evolution that people just keep the facade, but no, the mentality that led people make all these changes, first of all in the Medina and then in the Ensanche. Because why? Because talking with Younes, I told him, look, they passed from the wood beam to the arc to the iron beam, now to the concrete. I told him, if you have money and what you care is about light, why don't you do beam and floor made of glass? As you can see now in many other places, it is not something new. It's something against the image of a house in the Medina of Tetuan. Not at all. That's my point of view. You just continue the mentality that has built the Medina during centuries. Then some centuries ago they had wood. Now you have glass to build, and you are going to have another kind of spaces inside. Voilà. Je vais manger.
No, what I think is the problem, like in Fes, they tried already for some years to make a documentation center in the middle of the Medina, but they haven't succeeded yet. But there is nothing to be found about the Medina and its history and gradual development of structures. But just simple thing like such a documentation center that you can visit, and this idea of placing value on heritage is completely absent.
I don't know how they are doing in Fez, but I can tell you that in Tetuan, when an architect is doing a public project, they don't care about the history of the place. He just needs to make some works and to open something that then they don't even care about what they are going to do inside, which means there is, and also because there are very few archaeologists in Morocco, and when you work in the Medina of Tetuan or in other Medina, you need to work historian, archaeologist, and architect in order to understand how they build that. And they don't care. There is not. That's something we have been working a lot in the architecture school to put in mind of the students that they cannot do whatever they want, and then you have to know where you are working. And it is the different thing to work in Tetuan than to work in Fez, than to work in Zagora.
Mais l'architecture des Médinas, je crois qu'elles sont construites aussi dans un souci de protection. Il y a un souci militaire en fait. De protection.
Of course, it's like Marrakech, it's inside the wall.
Il y a toujours les portes qui se fermaient jusqu'aux années 60 et tout. Les portes des villes se fermaient à 1h.
Which means
in Tunis they are still closed.
Which means that
quand tu rentres par exemple, tu te fais piéger par les ruelles. Tu te perds. C'est-à-dire, imagine qu'il y a quelqu'un qui ne connaît pas la Médina, qui attaque la Médina. Même s'il rentre à l'intérieur, il peut se perdre. Tu as toujours, en fait, parfois des portes qui sont basses et avec une marche en bas, en fait. Tu descends à la maison. C'est pas au même niveau. C'est pour se protéger contre les invasions des cavaliers. Parce qu'avec un cheval, il ne peut pas rentrer. Il y a plein de tactiques en fait militaires qui sont utilisées dans l'architecture des Médinas.
When I have been working with the heritage in Ceuta, at the beginning I thought it was just enough to talk to an historian to know more about that. But then when I started to see things, I couldn't understand why they did that in this way.
But what I find interesting is that there is a lot of drive from people inside of the city who have this huge emotion for the city and their own city and their heritage. And there is not a formal documentation center, for example. They do create informal web blogs or whatever to upload images from private archives. And then there is other forms of where knowledge is concentrated, because where this bookshop of the American American school in Fez, this language center, this bookshop is kind of a
Riyad Alif.
Yeah,
Riyad Alif.
This bookshop is a private initiative of David.
Yeah, David.
That's not something for commercial value. He just collects so many knowledges from that he can find online, and he puts it in the shop so people can at least access it, which is fantastic.
Yeah, but again, if you want to know more and to understand more the Medina of Fez or any other Medina, you need an architect, you need an historian, you need an archaeologist, and also you need sociology, but also you need to work with people from the army, because sometimes the fortifications and the urban planning has been made by the military engineers, but also sometimes in order to understand that.
Plate?
And even the kind of weapon people use in that period, no? Which means that you cannot treat the knowledge of a place from one point of view, because you are going to miss a lot of things, and then you are going to give some explanation that are not very, very faithful. And the problem is where you have a population living in Medina. Again, what's happening when you have another kind of population that move? So first of all, you need to know the territory.
But also there is something interesting about this fluidity of histories that are contained in such a city that doesn't have a formal structure concerning of information of how things are done and why they are done that way. There is something ungraspable there, and something very organic, something very much alive.
But
and maybe that is even more true to such a structure which is so organic, where it's from its roots until what it is today.
But there is always an explanation why people
there
do
is,
the things
but
they do.
It completely depends to whom you are speaking to.
Yeah, but in my case as an architect, because it's very easy to say, as I have heard a lot of architects, the Medina is a chaos. No, you think it's a chaos, but sometimes it depends on the topography, it depends on the access to water, it depends on the wind, it depends on the protection if they are attacked, it depends on the population living inside, if they are separated or not, it depends on many other things. And that's something also that you can see in the south with the Oxur. There is one structure, but then why you can find so many differences? But because of all these things, it is enough to have a very complicated topography where the way you are going to trace the public space, it is not the same thing. It is just the way you can come inside with a donkey and a chariot.
But still, there's a moment of resistance by that as well. That not everything is completely rolled out, accessible concerning why it is like this, why it is like that, why it is like that.
No, because then
maybe if you put an example, it's going to be more clear.
No, I think she means that
I mean,
these are organic.
The video of the garden, the uses of the gardens inside of the Medina, for example.
No, I think because then there are buildings that you know it's the owner who change and who build more, and there is no the only thing that you can understand is that it's a family that grow up and need more space and how they can occupy the space and use the space they got.
Yes, but there is also a value in that as well.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, of course.
What I mean is that there is a quality of, because it's I mean, when you start researching something and there are no clear resources about what you are researching, it's also very annoying because there is no grip on what you're doing. But the quality is that you enter the subjects from so many different sides and you learn that there are so many different perspectives and reasons for why things are as they are, which have all their own value, which makes it also difficult to
understand.
No, not to understand, but to control it. And I think there is a very beautiful quality in that fluidity of layers of meaning and of forms that are mixed together that carry a certain seed of resistance.
But this is not what this is what Carlos is saying.
That there are so many things that can determine.
This is what he's saying, no?
Determine the evolution, because it is not. It's like the Daksar. It is not the same thing when you are under attack, when you are not, but you have still the walls, and how the people build now the houses inside, or they make an evolution of the house is different as they did some years ago because of if they are attacked or not, if they have more money or not, if they need more space or not, if they have concrete or not. And of course it's very complicated to understand in all cities how they have been developed.
J'ai toujours en tête un exemple que je donne dans cette situation parce qu'on peut jamais séparer l'être humain de l'architecture. Je crois que c'est l'art, le premier art qu'on fait, quoi. Je crois que l'architecture marocaine ressemble beaucoup au marocain. Le marocain d'avant, il ressemblait beaucoup à la Médina. Les Marocains, on s'habillait tous avant de la même façon, avec un même djellaba. Mais toute la richesse de la couture, de la broderie existait à l'intérieur, sous la djellaba. C'est-à-dire tout ce qui est brodé et tout. C'est la même chose par rapport aux maisons dans les médinas. Tu arrives dans la médina, tu as des maisons où tu as une façade aveugle, parfois avec une petite fenêtre, une petite porte, ça ressemble à rien. Mais quand tu rentres à l'intérieur, tu as tout. Tu as le jardin, tu as l'eau, tu as le puits de lumière, tu as la richesse, tu as la décoration. Je crois qu'on est passé, on a renversé un petit peu la situation. Aujourd'hui, on s'investit dans la façade. Et c'est là où on se trompe, et c'est là où il y a plus de problèmes. On fait justement des façades moches, parce qu'on est dans un état de passage. Ça nous crée des problématiques entre un espace intérieur et un espace extérieur. On crée des balcons et on les ferme avec de la grille. Et c'est comme le Marocain d'aujourd'hui. On essaie de s'habiller différent, on essaie de donner une image différente. Et on oublie un petit peu l'intérieur. Je crois que, pour moi, c'est ça en fait. On n'a pas encore compris la Médina en tant qu'espace, en tant qu'espace fonctionnel. On n'a pas compris Par exemple, il y a encore des problèmes dans Marrakech, par exemple, tout ce qui est assainissement. Parce qu'il existait avant des systèmes, en fait, des systèmes d'alimentation d'eau, de toutes les maisons et le passage d'eau par toute la Marsad au milieu de les maisons ou des fontaines. Et ça, il n'y a pas de traces d'archives ou de plans. On n'a pas compris ça, du coup, on ne s'est jamais entretenu et ça crée des problèmes jusqu'à aujourd'hui.
I can also tell you that this image that that people can see in contemporary Moroccan architecture, most of them are provoked by television. It happened in Spain. You see a TV series with a semi-detached house. Everybody's going to have a house as they see outside, with the image that you can see outside, but also inside with the same kind of furniture, the same kind of decoration. And sometimes they're very difficult, and someone tell you, no, I want my house like the one you see in that series.
Je me souviens maintenant d'un discours de Hassan II où il avait réuni les grands architectes marocains pour leur reprocher en fait le chaos architectural qu'on vit au Maroc. Et dans le discours, il leur a dit, mais inspirez-vous de Cassabat, des Casbah, du sud et tout. Et le problème qui s'est passé, c'est que tous les architectes ils se sont mis dans l'architecture du sud. Par exemple, si on arrive à Tata, on va voir plein de bâtiments administratifs avec des façades comme les Casbah les Casbah de Ouarzazate, avec une inspiration. Mais à l'intérieur, il n'y a pas de relation en fait. On ne s'est pas inspiré de fonctionnement.
Mais justement parce qu'on n'arrive pas à comprendre pourquoi cette forme elle répond à des besoins à l'extérieur et à l'intérieur, et finalement tu aurais de la superficialité.
Exactement, tu fais que des arcs et des motifs pour répondre. Hey, revenons au musée par exemple, c'est la même chose au musée.
And that minaret that we saw in that old Kasbah in Tamnugal, that is like, it looks like Catholic, more sub-Saharan Africa, from sub-Saharan Africa.
Why?
You know that one that we saw that next to the synagogue.
I'm through.
Yeah.
But
That's been renovated. It was renovated.
Yeah, renovated, but why they renovated in that, using that style? You know, no? What I mean? Or no?
No.
With those fake windows, you mean?
No, the one that, you know, the synagogue?
Yeah, I'm through.
I'm through, and then there was the mezquita, and it was through, was it?
Ah, you mean the restoration they are doing in the
ouais,
through
la tour.
mosque?
La tour comme ça.
Incliné.
Ouais, ouais.
Yeah,
Pas incliné, mais
no,
Yeah, comme
not
ça.
incliné, mais
c'est comme en train de pyramide.
Yeah.
yeah,
Ouais,
but big.
c'est fort de mosquée. Je l'ai vu. Tu vois la vieille mosquée de Tiznit? C'était un peu comme ça. Sans petit minaret, avec des bâtons. C'est vraiment un type malien.
Yeah.
Ouais, mais justement, ces mosquées the mosque of Amsterdam, it wasn't like that. I have pictures. It was more rectangular.
Mais comme à Gardaya aussi.
Gardaya, ouais.
Ouais, c'est comme la
Yes.
même forme.
And the only in the Bavaria, the only that was like that, it was Nasrat. But again, people say use images, and then to link Timbuktu to Zagora, voilà, we do the same thing, even if it wasn't like that.
So inspiration from taking Timbuktu as a model.
Yeah.
What was interesting is in the Mela, the Jews, they brought in the balconies on the street side.
In fact, no? Yeah.
Super nice. It's the only place where you have the outside and inside public space and the private space, that you have an extension of the private space towards the public space.
So what was
It's
it?
in the Mela, the Jews introduced that. Balconies.
Oh, balconies. I didn't know that.
You can still see it when you visit the Mela.
Je crois pas qu'il y a un style en fait
You can still
d'architecture
see
juive.
it when you visit those.
Juif.
C'était des maisons comme les
You
autres.
mean like deported here, or?
Ça dépend des régions
Well, at
dans
least
lesquelles
in
vous êtes.
Fes.
C'est la même chose.
There is no Jewish architecture.
Non,
Where
Morocco.
there is.
Different than.
Yeah. If you go into the Mela, or at least in Fes, the houses are built very differently, and they have balconies,
That's strange.
like verandas, but on the first floor.
But those houses were built later, no?
Je crois pas qu'il y avait ça.
That's what I learned when I was doing my research there.
But from which period? Which century?
I don't know.
Because it looks much later, maybe 18, 19, not from the 7, 8.
No,
Ninth century.
no. That's from the, I think, 20th century.
Yeah.
So the Jews from the 20th century built that, you think?
Yeah. There was also an introduction of the different viewpoints towards the city from Riyadh, that before they were completely closed, and the beginning of like 20th century they started also to build on the first floor kind of windows. If you had this really only in those bigger riads that are a bit more up on the hill, that have this viewpoint downwards to the Medina. And also the introduction of the courtyard garden was not something of the old Medina, that's something of the parts of the Medina that are built later, like from the 1900s. Before that they didn't have these kind of rich courtyard gardens.
No?
C'est peut-être les Mauraises.
Hmm?
Les
Mauraises.
Séfarides. Mais ça, j'ai jamais remarqué ça. C'est peut-être les Séfarides en fait, la deuxième exode. parce que le Balkan, c'est un peu une culture espagnole aussi.
Well,
Ouais, dans l'architecture espagnole, il y a des grandes fenêtres.
That depends the period of the region.
Je sais pas.
Right at that period, I don't think so.
which period?
The first wave of Jewish people, it was the 8th century.
Ah, yeah. Maybe the second one, the Sephardims?
The Sephardims, well, you already had the Spanish Renaissance. You have. It depends of the place. It depends on how you build. If you build with rammed earth, no. If you build with stone, of course you can. For me, the problem is when people keep the image and they don't get what it is really important, like the doxur. Is that it's the best way. Not the doxur like they are, but if you take the earth and you understand how to do compact city in order to be protected from the heat and from the wind and from the sun, you can have contemporary architecture that apparently has nothing to do with the old one, but it is based in the old one. It is just that you have other techniques or things that can let you let people live in another way. And it's something I have seen in Zagora near Benizoli, how people from in the 80s had to abandon an Aksar, and they built a new district with all the elements. Their land, they were suitable for this kind of climate, many other things. So. But it takes time to understand that. It is not something that you come, you make a trip, you take some pictures, and then you are going to, finally you are going to reproduce the image.
I'm actually quite hungry.
Yes, me too.
Where's the food?
And in your research of the gardens, have you also looked at how expats are buying the riads and reconstructing them as
Yeah.
in this Orientalist fashion?
Yeah, actually they are the ones who are quite try to do it in a correct way.
Correct.
Yeah, they look on the history books that the French made. The French, when the French invest, they made in 1920 to 30. They made these big books where they are describing all the ornaments and architectural elements of the Riyadh in the Medina. And those foreigners, when they build a house, they try to do it really in a good way. So they're one of those, one of the elements that make sure of the preservation.
But do you think that they fall into what Carlos says, that they only look at the aesthetics of it instead of the functionality? I mean, the interconnections and...
The interconnections, if you have a house and the fundaments and the structure is there, and you start to repair the inside, you have to use the tile work. There's no other option. So and you will bring it back to the old state and sometimes make some small modifications, but I haven't seen bad stuff in that sense.
But sometimes, like in Tetua, Dar Ben Jelun, where it was Trancat, there is an excess of decoration. Because why do you want to put a fence in the window of your room that give you access to your own courtyard? And why you put the slish everywhere, where maybe you don't need, no. But it is also a way to show that now you have money and now you have to put mirrors everywhere and you have to, and it's terrible.
Well, I haven't seen that so much in Fez.
Because they are older, the house. But Trancat is from the 20th century.
Yeah, I've never seen such a house as Trancat actually.
And but all the houses, well, most of the houses that have been rebuilt in the 19th and 20th in Draa are like that, and people think that was the kind of house of the Medina, no?
It's more that because of UNESCO, because of the city, how they make the facade in the inside of the Medina, like a nice this idea of image of what the Medina should look like. That is the big sabotage, because they don't do it in the proper way. And then you have these gates that they rebuilt in front of the Medina out of concrete, which it doesn't make sense at all, but just creates an image.
But once again, because when you read books about Islamic architecture, the fact that there is no windows in the main facade, it is just because of privacy, or it is because some places there were fortified cities and what you need is to be protected from an attack. Because what we saw the other day in Amsterdam, how small passages that give access to some houses could be blocked, and there was even a guardian every time there. So he blocked the access, like the creating different compartments. You have also that in Fez. You could block completely different areas. So which means you could have people attacking you. If you put windows, it's a point where they can't come in your city, in your house.
Yeah, but the Medina is built in different periods through time. So and there you have the different houses and a little bit different styles, and also concerning the economical class of that area.
No, yeah, but what I mean is, if you have to take all these things into consideration to understand, you cannot just say no, it's because of the privacy of the people. No, maybe it is, but there are many other factors that are going to decide in a moment how a part of the city is being built. But then you cannot generalize completely, and that's sometimes the problem. So a Medina is for me, Al-Aqsa is such a complex entity that it is very, very dangerous to just to say it is a house, it's privacy, and that's all. No?
And I'm wondering about this book that you say that the French documented. I mean, that was also like the period of Orientalism, no? I mean, I don't know. I mean, this book has been studied in a critical way, or the two other expats or people that come and buy these houses. Is a reference book.
It's a reference book, yeah, but it's mostly it's not like a book with flavors. It's a book with pure plans and information.
Yeah, but as Barry was saying, architecture is a tool for power.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this book had also like some kind of relation into that.
Always. There is always an element of power involved.
But then, because when you say the correct way of building a Medina...
No, it's more like it was documenting how those huge palaces and riads, it maps the big riads and palaces that are there, and describes with drawings the type of gelige and ornamental work inside, and also the ground plans of how the houses are made.
Dans le protectorat espagnol, ils ont commencé en Espagne en fait une sorte de lige qui était carré, qui reproduit les mosaïques sur particulière.
a lot of bad things to say about it, but I did
Et il
have
y avait un
this
style espagnol,
also
en
place
fait,
value
que, tu vois, pour faire les rosaces, c'est découpé en
to
carrés.
document them.
C'est fabriqué.
Like heritage, cultural heritage.
Et ça, je
they
l'ai
have
vu
this
à
culture
Tétouan,
of
par exemple, à
understanding that this
Tanger,
is really
dans le nord.
valuable and
Mais ça,
important.
c'est de Séville, je pense.
Ouais. Et je l'ai vu même dans le sud.
Map.
Ah.
But I have someone told me that the sledge from Tétouan and Fès, they come from the south
But
of
it would be
Spain,
interesting to look at the book again with those eyes.
but they
view. And,
improve the technique and that the origin is from Syria.
Oui, c'est juste ça. Sous les Omeyyades. Mais en fait, tu as compris en fait.
Non, mais ça c'est
Et ça,
plus vraiment, il y
je l'ai
avait...
vu par exemple
Ça,
dans un ancien
ça va,
palais
ça.
à côté de Tizni, de l'Qaïd Layel. Parce qu'en fait, ils commerçaient avec les Espagnols à côté à Sidi Ifni. Et
Mohamed,
même
Mais
dans-
ça c'est
Mohamed.
plutôt du
Vas-y.
XXe siècle.
how are you?
Ouais, 20e siècle. Ouais.
مرحبا
Marhaba.
مرحبا